Okay. Get on my chair, all my goodies. Okay. So this is what we're going to be doing today. Almost looks like kind of a cool mask. Even when I bent it, you see, I could actually, hold on. Look through it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some cardboard. Now, the first thing you want to do is, well, some of you actually, let me show you this first. Some of you are going to draw directly on a black sheet or white sheet of paper. And that's totally fine. If you want to do that, instead of where we're cutting today, you may draw lines. Maybe you want to draw a line in pencil first and come over with marker or oil pastel, especially depending on what your materials are. So if you want to, you can draw directly on paper. I'm going to draw today on kind of that packaging cardboard, okay? Cereal boxes, whatever. I have all that kind of stuff, okay? So that's what we're going to be cutting out today. Like this one right here, I did, if I wanted to do maybe fish instead of a portrait, maybe I want to do it fish, I just cut it out of some thin packaging, okay? So here we go. Now for a portrait, we're going to need, if we do it in Sandra's style, she has this beautiful kind of abstract. It doesn't look real. Abstract means it doesn't look realistic. It doesn't look like a photograph, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of cut out the shape of the face, all right? Where, of course, we want to have... Oh my goodness. Well, that's not the first time that's happened, but it is the first time it just crazily flicked out. This is a very close-up view of me. Hello, guys. Hi, guys. Okay, hopefully that doesn't happen again. My goodness, that was wild. I'm going to put my thumb there and hope that that was totally crazy. You know what's funny is I actually did get a new little contraption for my phone on the for my tripod, and I didn't put it on here because this one seemed to be working pretty well, but my goodness, that was wild. Okay, my apologies. That goes on the bloopers reel for sure. That bloopers with Ms.A. Okay, so I don't even know where I was because that was so silly. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting out some pieces. So you can start with me, okay? So if you're drawing and you're just going ahead and drawing it straight on paper, you can, if you're using black paper, maybe use a white pastel or a white colored pencil so that you can see. When I've done something like this with my 5th graders last year when they're in 4th grade, so my 5th graders should know this artist. You better know this artist, people. But when we did that, we actually used on black paper with black glue. I put black paint in my glue, and we actually drew first and then traced with our black glue. Let that dry, and the next time we came in with chalk pastels. Today, we're going to make it more, I'm using chalk pastels and oil pastels. You can also use markers, crayons, paint, whatever you want to do. It might take longer or may go quicker depending on your medium that you choose. But either way, you're going to have a really cool effect. So let's do it. Okay. So on here, if I was to draw, now you're not going to barely see my lines, but I'm going to go ahead and draw out my chin, almost like a rainbow type line. I would take my scissors, okay? Now, if you're drawing, of course, you are just drawing these lines, which is challenging to understand if you're younger. But basically, that line that I just cut, that curved line, I would just draw that on, you know, like a piece of paper or something like that. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Some of you are cutting. Some of you have people helping you cut. I'm going to go like this, like that. All right, so now I have that curved, what I called rainbow. Also, one of those little ghosts in Pac-Man. I don't know if you guys know Pac-Man. I'm old, but there's one of those like, it looks like that to me. Anyway, we're going to curve that line, okay? And I have a cleft chin. Very nice. And this is the top. Maybe I want to, depending on your cardboard. This cardboard already has some cool kind of cutouts in it. But right now you're going to go ahead and do the shape of the head or of the face. Okay, so go ahead and start either drawing or cutting the lines that you want for the shape of your head. And if I'm going too fast, remember you can always go back to my Instagram TV now. It used to just be my Instagram story, but now I have Instagram TV. And Instagram updated their stuff. So my video automatically, I can archive it to Instagram TV. And you can find that at Art Class with Ms.A. Okay? It's also on my feed, but you can also go to Instagram TV and find me too. You can also find all the lessons on YouTube at Art Class with Ms.A. So you can do that as well. I'm going to do this one straight across. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to leave that other one. I kind of want to have the lower level type and then kind of come up a little, have a little height on this side. That's fine. So I basically have the shape of my head. Some of you might not have an opening here, and that's totally fine. I would actually kind of prefer not to, although it does look cool in the end what I did here. I like that. But it just depends on what kind of packaging or thin cardboard you have to cut, okay? Mine, I actually had, it actually just bent that way anyway. I'm just using what I have. Hopefully you are too, okay? Now, I need to start creating, and I'm going to pull a sheet of black paper just so I can see what I'm creating. I'm going to go ahead and start creating eyes and all that kind of, all those good things. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. I have a little piece of just packaging, okay? I'm going to kind of do for an eye. Sandra really does almost these ellipse type shapes, which is almost like something like that, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place it, even though I know it's going to go on this cardboard eventually, I'm going to place it here because I'm going to color all these items first. I'm going to do another one. Now, I can place one on top of another to speed up the process. I can either take a pencil and trace around it, or if I'm feeling confident about my scissor skills, I may just go ahead and kind of cut and write around the other shape as a template, and I'm going to kind of put those down. Now, some of you might have done something like I was saying, where's my little fish guy? Where'd he go? Here, something like that, especially if you were afraid to do a portrait. Maybe you didn't want to do a portrait. Maybe you wanted to do something more underwater. You could do something like that. If you did, you can also just cut out shapes like this. In this case, I cut out a fish. And then you'll be able to do the same thing, glue and layer that like a collage. Remember, a collage is when you glue pieces on top of another piece and are creating what they call a relief. And a relief, I'm going to just keep cutting. I'm going to cut out some eyeballs for my eyes right now. A relief is when you are gluing, or not necessarily gluing, but you're attaching pieces on top of each other and you're rising up from the top of the plate, okay? In particular, a printing plate, okay? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do that. And I'm just cutting out all the different shapes of the face in this case. So in my case, I'm doing a face. So I have eyes, I have the eyeball. You could do the pupil. I do want to do, let me find some other cardboard here. Okay, I am going to do some, let me separate this so I have some cardboard to work with here. I'm just going to actually rip that off just so I have something to work with. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead now and do, where is my portrait? Okay, so here I did a couple layers for the eye, but I also need to do like the eyelid, the top and bottom eyelid. Here it's supposed to be more of like an eyelash. That could also be considered hair in a way. That's fine too. We're going to break up the space once we start adding color, but right now you are just adding all from the side. Can you see that? They're glued on top. Now, I don't want you gluing yet, so do not glue. We're going to add color first, and then we can glue, okay? So don't glue anything yet. If you have, it's okay. Just leave it. But keep cutting the parts right now, okay? So we're going to cut all the parts of the face. She uses a lot of, her style is abstract. So meaning that, of course, it's not exactly how we might realistically in a photograph look at someone. So do not worry. Do not try to be making this realistic. This is almost like a collage in a way, or a collagraph, because we're adding on. I'm going to make that a little shorter. And I'm going to make this my nose. Okay. And I'm going to add, she has a lot of bold lines. So I'm going to add actually a bold line with some of the cardboard that I will glue on in a few minutes. And I'm going to add that. You know what? I'm actually not going to add that there. Add this here, add this here. This is all going to go onto my cardboard piece in a minute. So if you want to, could you come over here and then move it later and see how it's looking on your actual piece? Of course. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to straighten this line out. Does it have to be perfectly straight? No, it does not. Do not fret, my friends, okay? I think I might add this as eyelashes or hair. I'll leave those to the side for a second. And I'm going to also add, I'm going to slide my eyes over. No, I'll leave them here so you can see what I'm doing. Some of you might not want to build it up on the side. I like to build it up to the side because then when I go back and glue, I can kind of spatially see where I'm going. If you want to do it this way first and then just pick it up and glue, you can do that too, because it is nice to also see it in the actual composition that you're going to place all these pieces later, okay? So Sandra has these really bold lines. So if you look at my example, you'll see these dark black lines. She also has a lot of pattern. She really incorporates most of the elements and principles of design in her work. And the coolest, most wild part of it is this is how she actually sees. So if she was to be standing in front of you looking, she sees all of these colors and all this stuff. Isn't that outstanding? Can you imagine that's what you saw? I mean, it's pretty wild. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm going to do a mouth. Let me do for my upper lip. I'm going to kind of do a curved lip. If you need to cut a piece smaller just to work with it, you can. That's pretty good, although it also looks like a mustache. Hold on. All right, that was funny. Very silly. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and make this the top of my lips. And I'm going to kind of curve that there. And I'm going to make the bottom of my lips. Remember, if you need to be using a pencil to create your shape, that is completely fine. Just take your time. You can always go back and watch these things. Make sure that you or your family are sending them to me, because honestly, I've been getting a lot of them, but I'd like more. But all of you who have been sending them to me, thank you, thank you, thank you, or thank your parents, thank everybody, because it makes Ms.A so happy. All right, so now maybe that's kind of where I'm going to go. All right, so now without any color, it's pretty basic, but I've kind of built out the portrait. I have the eyes, the nose, a line here almost showing cheekbone or cheek, the lips, and of course I cut out the outside silhouette of my head, so I have that chin and I have this shape in an abstract form of a face, of a portrait, okay? Now I am going to slide these pieces over to the side for a second, okay? And you can do this too if you like, once you have your pieces. Some of you may have left it in that form like that. Okay, so you kind of see these are my pieces that I'm working with, but I'm going to move those over to the side temporarily so that I can start adding color to my background. So my very first piece, whether it's your piece of paper or it is your cardboard or packaging that you cut up, we're going to go ahead and start adding some color. Okay. Now, this depends. If you're using paper, you probably, if it's white, you probably want to use, you can use paint, you can use watercolor, you can use crayons, you can use oil. You can basically use anything if you have white paper. If you have black paper, you definitely want to use something like this, like a chalk kind of pastel, or an oil pastel, something like that. Because as you know, or a construction paper crayon. But as you know, when you use a darker piece of paper, only certain types of medium or materials will show up on that paper. In this case, we're going to be using cardboard. Most of my different materials, marker, crayon, whatever I have, paint, anything is going to probably show up on this. If you had white paper, it's going to be the same. Anything, marker, crayon, oil pastel, chalk pastel, colored pencil, whatever you want to use is going to show up here. Okay? So I'm using cardboard, and if you're using cardboard, like I said, for the most part, anything will show up. But what I do want to do first is I'm going to start breaking up this background piece into different sections. So I'm going to use some color. I'm going to show you this close up. So this is a color wheel. Remember, a color wheel is a tool. Color wheel. It's a tool to help you understand color. And we are going to talk about analogous colors. So when we are talking about these analogous colors, what we need to know is they are colors that are next to each other. So, hopefully you can see this still, I think so. If I wanted to use, when I'm coloring, if I want to use analogous colors, I want to use something like an orange. Maybe I can do the orange. And then I have more of the yellow orange. And then maybe I have more of a yellow or a yellowy orange, something like that. Those are analogous, okay? Those colors are analogous. We want to try working with that. If I was to take those colors away for a second, let's move those for a second. Maybe I want to do out of my oil pastels. We could kind of go in here with these colors in between. These three colors right here. Let me bring them up so you can see close up. Analogous, okay? They are next to each other on the color wheel. The color wheel, besides being a tool that helps us understand color, we can know what the primary colors, the red, yellow, blue, the secondary colors, the green, orange, and purple, the tertiary colors. Those are when you mix one primary and one secondary. You have a tertiary, and that's going to be like a yellow orange, a red violet, or red purple. Those are those colors. Complementary colors are across from each other on the color wheel. So like green versus red. Green and red are complementary. That means they go well together. Yellow, okay, and purple. Orange and blue. All right, so you can match those colors or pair those colors together. And that's what the color wheel is really doing. It's helping you as a tool. So analogous colors are going to be those colors next to each other. And that's how we're going to try to add color. So keep that in mind as we start adding color. Okay, if it's not, it doesn't have to be, but try it out. See what happens. It's very complimentary. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can use, in my case, I'm going to use oil pastels and chalk pastels. If I was to use some pink right here. Okay, now I used the chalk there. You can kind of see that really shredded. Remember, chalk is made of pigment. It's like a dust, right? You see all this dust? And pigment is the color, and that's how chalk is made. Oil is the same idea, and you can add that on top if you like. So let's do some oil, or add it instead of, if that's what you have. Go ahead and add some of that. Now, if we're going to make this an analogous color, we want to choose some colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to use, see these different shades, or rather tints of pink? Okay, I'm going to use some of those because those colors are next to each other. Now, if you're using chalk, you do not need to blend until later, but you do need to hold your paper steady. This one I use an oil pastel. Can you use, let me grab some paper towel. Can you use some paper towel to not let your finger get all dirty? Of course. So you can. I'm just going to use a paper towel to do my blending. That means I'm spreading the color, almost giving it that ombre effect. Maybe I'll add some more, but I'm going to add the lighter pink because it is an analogous color to that darker pink, to that kind of fuchsia color, okay? So maybe we'll add that right there. And I'm going to actually stop for a second because I feel like some of you might need to break up the space first. just because, do you see what I did here? And it's spread down. Let's break this space up like Sandra would first. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here. Here, you can use a black marker, you can use black paint, I'm using a black pastel, okay, and I'm going to go around the edges too, all the way around. So I'm going to take my black pastel and go around the edges. If you want to use a black marker, you just take a Sharpie, same way, like this, and you're going to go right on the edge and outline your edge, okay? Either way, you can also use, I have black, like a black paint pen, or stick rather, if any of you have that. You can go right on the edge. Make sure that you have something around, or underneath, underneath your artwork, so that you are not getting black paint or black marker or anything on your kitchen table, okay? So I'm going to keep going. And I'm going around. I want some of that black to show because I want it to have that Sandra style. And this contemporary artist that we're speaking about today, she really has bold lines, thick lines. We've talked about weight before, guys. So we want these kind of thick lines. If you want to do something like that and outline it. I'm also going to go ahead and separate this space like this. Maybe I'm going to do one here. It's not, there's no necessary, reason why you might put one here. Don't worry, just go ahead, go with it, feel the flow. Surrender to the flow, people. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I've outlined, and I also broke up this space, horizontally, besides just outlining the contour outline of the shape, okay? Now, I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to dust off my fingers because I have a lot of oil and chalk pastels. If you have a sponge and you want to wet it and kind of do something like this to clean your fingers so they're good enough, you can do that. You can just take a paper towel, whatever you want to do so that you do have kind of semi-clean surfaces on those fingertips as we add color. Okay, so on to analogous colors. We're going to keep going. Now, so I'm going to do this. So I like yellow, orange. Okay. Look at these. Look at this. This would all, was that show up? There we go. I was too close. Excuse me. More of a yellow orange, a very yellow orange, and then an orange. All right, we're going to add those. Those are beautifully, beautiful colors. I'm just going to go ahead and go around. If you are using chalk pastel, you might want to take a piece of paper like this and hold it over anything you colored. While you color, if you have to hold your artwork in place so that you're not smearing the color or spreading it in an area you don't want. You can do something like that too, because you do need to hold on to your artwork as you kind of move around and add patches of color. Now I am going to add a darker orange in that. Now if some of your black smear, some of mine smeared, that's okay. It depends. If you had marker, it's not going to smear, but I used oil pastel and paint pen. That definitely can smear. I'm going to use a paper towel right now to do a little blending, okay? And then I also know that yellow would be analogous to this too, and I'm going to add that there. A lot of you I know call this an ombre, which it is, but you can easily add the color from the darker oranges to the lighter yellow oranges. There you go. Okay, so whatever material or medium you're using, just keep going. I'm going to add a little more pink in here. Could I add some chalk over my oil pastel? Yes, you can. Could you use oil pastel on top of marker? Of course you can. Could you blend it? Oh, yes. Can you go back and add black if your line got a little covered with the pigment or the color from the other areas? You can do that later, so don't worry about everything being perfect. Remember, there's no such thing as perfection. I'm going to keep going. Mia, what's our time check? Mia's doing a time check for me.
103.
103. Oh, we still have good time. We're good. Thank goodness. This one, I was actually worried, guys, because this lesson, you know how when we do stuff at school, everything takes more than one class period. It's very rare that we do an art project that's only one class period. However, I'm going to do this for analogous. I'm going to go into the yellows and yellow greens. So this is a yellow green that would be next to it on the color wheel. And it is very challenging to find lessons that we can do together with everything you have at home, with all of our different age levels, because you know I teach 4-year-olds and I teach like 14-year-olds. So, and I've had parents even joining us, which is cool. We've even had people on different continents, you guys. I've had people from Berlin, Peru, and what was the other one? There was two South Americas and Europe. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so fun. That's crazy. That's wild, guys. That's really wild. But regardless, you know that when you're adding this color, you're just going to kind of blend. So depending on what you have, you see these colors I got going right now? Very nice. So I've added oil pastel and chalk pastel. Could you do it in marker? Yes. Can you do it in crayons? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. And make sure that you are trying some of these analogous colors. Okay, so I'm going to do some red here. I'm just going with a chalk pastel. I'm going to do a little, and I might even add a little oil on top. Oh, smearing some black. Am I worried about that it's smearing the black? No, I like it. It actually kind of created a pattern almost in the style that Sandra does. So there you go. All right, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do right here. I'm going to go for it. I don't know that I have a favorite color, but if I did, it's probably turquoise. You guys know, because you guys ask me all the time. And really, my favorite color is probably the rainbow. But I think all art teachers say that. But if I had to choose one color, I would say like a blue-green kind of turquoise. Reminds me of the ocean. It reminds me of this like blue skies in summer. All that kind of good stuff. The lake, when we go swimming at the lake, at the beach, I like that. So I'm sticking still with my color scheme, and every section you can flip your colors, but really try to choose those colors that would be next to each other like this on the color wheel. Can you see that good? There you go. There you go. Try to choose colors like that. How's everybody doing? Tell me everything. What's going on here, people? What's happening? I'm going to keep working because I'm afraid of time. Does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care about the time? You guys don't know that song, but it's by a band named Chicago. And most of us are in Chicago. And we got to be big fans. But anyway, it's all about the time. If so, I can't imagine why. Oh, no. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to keep going, blending, looking good. I'm going to add a little more of my chalk color because some of it kind of went out. Now, here's the thing. If you're using all chalk, I will say, after you're done, what you want to do is take a can of aerosol, or your parents, your mom, somebody. If you don't have it, you can buy it very cheaply at the like CVS or Walgreens or whatnot. But it's just like a can of aerosol, back like 80s style hairspray. And that will actually tack all that chalk pigment down onto your paper or your cardboard so that it's not moving around. Okay, now here's my piece for my background. Now I have to work quickly right now because I'm not going to be able to add all of these pieces without in this time frame. So if we finish and you're not done, you're going to keep going. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead, move all my little pieces. My guy kind of shifted a little. That's okay. Now, if you're using liquid glue, make sure you open it up. Let it breathe a little. If you're using a glue stick, easy enough. You just pop that bad boy and just start gluing on the back of the pieces. I'm going to do a glue stick right now. Okay? Remember, glue stick and liquid glue do need time to tack or hold time. Okay? Oops. I did that wrong. Oops, Ms.A. I added glue to the side of the packaging that was colored. Now that's just silly. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. If you have a glue gun, remember, of course, the easiest way or if you have a family member who's helping with the glue gun. Now, if you do that, you're just going to do a little dab of glue. And I might just go ahead and glue these on with a glue gun, just so, even if you don't have one, that's okay. I'm going to do it right now just so that I can keep adding color, because of course the hold time or the tack time of a glue gun is super quick, but I don't want anyone using a glue gun who has never used one before or too young to use one alone. I'm going to keep adding all these fun little parts of my portrait. And this is like, there we go. My lips. I need to have my, I'm about to start coughing. I need a drink. 1 second. Hold on. Yikes. Okay. Not cool, people. Sorry, I was talking so much. My throat got dry. Okay, so I'm adding my mouth. I'm going to add, I said, some of this hair, this kind of fun hair. Maybe it's eyelashes. Maybe I want eyelashes. I don't even want hair. Well, maybe this is all fun stuff on top of his hair. Because I did, on my cardboard, of course, I had crazy fun designs already. And I cut out a few more, as you saw. So I'm going to go ahead. Whoops. Careful if you have a glue gun. I just burnt myself. Don't burn yourself. Be careful. Okay, so I'm going to put my glue gun back. If you are someone, like most of you are probably using liquid glue or glue stick, if you're using something like that, you do need to wait before you add color to these pieces. Or if you want to, I glued right to my paper underneath. Hold on, let me unpull that out. There you go. But if you wanted, you could also have colored these pieces first and then glued them once you had and let that dry and all be finished. You can do that too. I'm going to put this piece of paper here just so you can see a little better. Does that make it see a little better? Yeah. And I'm going to start adding. So maybe I'm going to use my marker because I want to do in my eyes. I want to do this. If you want to, I'm going to do this closer so you can see. First, let me do it here. I want to take a black marker or oil pastel because I want to have a nice black bold line around all my shapes. So if you do this before you glue, go ahead and outline everything first, or you can easily take a marker like I am right now, or an oil pastel, which I'll do in a second, to outline everything so that you can see all of the shapes that you've glued and layered in this relief type style to create our Sandra Silbergweig portrait. Okay, so I see that I'm adding the black lines there. I haven't done it to all of them. I'm going to do the rest right now. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to add color. It's not cheating, but I'm going to add color, and then I'll do it with a black pastel at the end. Okay, so just for time's sake. Now we're going to stick with those analogous colors. So remember, they're colors that are next to each other. So maybe I'm going to do this lighter green, and then this turquoise kind of color comes in because that's near it on the color wheel. And then this darker green. And I don't need to blend any of that yet. I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to add some of this kind of reddish and then more of a magenta pink color. Although, if I was to blow it, it kind of blends in. Now, I am going to outline it, so I could change the color if I wanted. I'm going to leave that one, but I don't want to do this in the same type color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in more of a yellow. And that's going to go into a yellow-green. Okay. I'm sticking with analogous colors. Remember, they're colors that are near each other, next to each other. Not just near, next to each other on the color, on either side. Okay, now I have red here. I probably want to stick with a different color. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to blend from the turquoise to the darker green. Okay, on that one. On this one, I'm going to go, it's on the red. Red and green, remember, if we look at the color wheel, where's that color wheel? Hold on. Let me find my color wheel, people. Okay, so red is the complementary color green. So besides being, using the analogous colors, wouldn't it be nice, like I did here, the green with the red? Very nice. That's going to have a nice contrast. And it's going to complement each other because they're complementary colors. They're across the, on the color wheel from each other. I'm going to do this one with an orange And I'm going to go back to that yellow because this also, again, these colors are near each other on the color wheel. Now this one I did not glue with the glue gun, so this is a perfect example. If you didn't glue them with a glue gun, they might not be totally dry yet, so you might be still gluing. You might be waiting for it to dry. I'm going to go ahead and just tack that bad boy down with my glue gun for example's sake. Now I have the blue here. Remember, blue and orange are complementary, so I think I'm going to go with an orange, but I'm going to make this small little piece in this little patch. I'm going to color it. My color scheme is going to be analogous. So I did the red to the red orange. Can you see that? Okay. And I'm also going to add just my background back here. I kind of want to add a little more back. I just want a little more contrast back here. You can do that too. You can go back and add on your background if you want. Why not? I'm going to add some more orange on this just to make it really pop. Make some really cool color happening. Oh, my pastel broke. That happens all the time. You guys know that. But I know that everyone's like, oh, it's broken, Ms.A. And I'm always like, it's actually 2 now. That doesn't mean it's broken. That's the cool thing about art stuff. It's like if your crayon breaks, well, now you have 2 or 3 crayons instead of 1. All right, I'm going to start adding again here. I'm going to do white pupil. And this time I'm doing the white iris, doing the part of the eye. Maybe I'm going to come in here with, I'm going to go this with a turquoise, okay, because I want that to kind of pop. Okay, I'm going to come around. And, yeah, what's our time, sweet pea? I'm going to do this on my nose, part of my nose. Mimi. What's our time, sister girl?
1:15.
Thank you. Okay, so we still have time. We're good. Because we still want to add some pattern. So hopefully you're adding color. And like I said, please don't rush just because I am. You can take your finger and blend it. If it's chalk, you want to let it just kind of sit. And remember I said kind of cover it while you add other patches of color. And then you can spray it later. If it's oil pastel with with oil pastel, that's fine. Oil with chalk, that's fine. That will kind of blend on its own. You see I'm slowly adding. I still have some more pieces. Let's keep going. All right, I want this guy to have yellow around it because I love that with that turquoise, yellow and turquoise. That reminds me of urban dandelion, guys. I'm going to use a yellow lip down here. And even though my background is yellow, I'm going to make it analogous. So I'm going to add some orange. And I'm going to take my finger and kind of blend that together. So I have this beautiful, I like that, looking good. And I still have a couple more. Okay, I'm going to add his pupil as a turquoise. Now, when Sandra's doing this, she is really, this is how she actually sees, which is just wild. It's outstanding. The colors, can you imagine, like, every time you looked at something or did something, you would just see colors and patterns, and that's how you viewed stuff? It's a really cool concept on the fact that even though we don't all see just necessarily in colors and patterns, but we do all see things in different ways. So it's kind of cool to think about it like that. Now, I do need to re-outline my black. I have on my color how I like it. At this point, yes. Can you add more on a certain color? Maybe I want, in this blue, I want to make that more analogous. So instead of just like that, I'm going to add some green in there. I'm going to go high, add some green. Maybe down here I want a little more yellow in my yellow orange. Fine, that's beautiful. I might even take a little up into my pink and almost make an orangey pink. That's fine. What materials are you guys using? Are you using markers, using crayons? Are you using, what's happening? What kind of materials are you using? Did you do it just on paper? Did you do it on cardboard, thin cardboard like me? Now, because I used the glue gun and cheated with my gun, I have all these little webby strings. I like to get those out of there, so kind of take those out. That's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and take my black pastel, which works really well if you use something like I did, chalk pastels and oil. If you used only marker or crayon, you can easily do all of this in marker, black marker right now. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to re-outline. Oops. I'm going to re-outline my whole shape of my face on my portrait around all the patches of color that I did. And remember, I kind of have this fun abstract. Remember, abstract. Abstract means it doesn't look real. Abstract artists typically use shapes, lines, and colors to give us the same feel of art or something that we see. So we recognize these images through line, shape, and color rather than it being a complete realistic item. Now I am going to go around all those fun little relief pieces that I glued on top. So if you have a marker, you can do that now. Some of you may have done that like I showed you in the beginning. Some of you may have done that with marker already, and that's fine too. But Sandra really used these black bold lines. Look at, even some of mine are little slops, but still, that's okay. Fill it in if you want to. Fill it in. Go ahead. Fill that stuff in, people. Make it however you like. But try to use this style that we're talking about, this abstract kind of fun style. Now I am going to go around here, around my eye. Go ahead and all of the shapes that have not been outlined, and take some type of black, particularly tool, medium, and go ahead and re-outline everything so that it really pops out and gives that fun idea or that fun shape. It really showcases it. Now, if you missed anything or need to go back, or we're waiting for something to dry, which hopefully a lot of you who are maybe taking your time and really taking it to heart, you may have taken more time to do this, and that's okay. That's awesome. That makes me even happier, honestly. But if you're someone like that, make sure that you go ahead and wait for different areas to dry until you glue second pieces, third pieces. I'm going to re-outline these different divided spaces that Sandra may do. Look at these fingers, people. Dirty. You know, a lot of you get so, oh my gosh, this is so messy, Ms.A. And I'm like, don't worry about it. That's what art is. Art is getting dirty, getting messy. It's fun. All right, so here's my example of my Sandra Silbergweig, the Canadian artist, who's a contemporary artist. Remember, contemporary means she's still living and working today. I'm going to go ahead and flip it around and do a quick review. And hopefully my phone, remember when my phone popped out again? That hasn't happened since like March. Honestly. Okay, guys, so I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you've created art with me. Please send the stuff or post it or hashtag it at ArtClassMS.A or email me. However you want to send it to me is perfectly fine. Remember that we talked about a contemporary artist from Canada named Sandra Silbergweig. And she has a learning disability that is called synesthesia. And synesthesia means that she actually sees everything in color and pattern and light, which is outstanding for art. She's used it as a benefit. And right now what we did is we created our portraits. Now, you know what? Something I realized I didn't do, and I was running out of time. That's why. Once you get it, this is terrible. I didn't do this part. Once you get it like this, I want you to go ahead and add different patterns with typically lighter colors into these areas, just like I did here, where I added polka dots or little dashed lines, zigzags in his eyebrows. Go ahead and add these fun kind of different patterns and designs inside of these patches of analogous colors. We also talked about analogous. Remember, analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So in this case, like the yellow, orange, orange, and orange, red, those are analogous because those colors are next to each other on the color wheel. Try using those colors. And also check out this cool artist. Her stuff is outstanding. We did a portrait today. Remember, a portrait is a picture or a photograph of a person. But she's also known for, it's her most popular style is the portrait, but she's also known for nature, landscapes, all that kind of good stuff. So I hope you had a good time. I hope you had fun creating with us today. Please send me the artwork. We only have one more art class of the school year left. It's bittersweet. I know it's a lot, but I miss you guys. I love you guys. And I hope you had fun today. Please send me your work. And I'll talk to you soon. I miss you. See you Friday. Bye, guys.